All right, thank you. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining me today. I'm Mark Irish again from NICE Systems. I'm not going to go into the normal what NICE is and what ISOdx is. It'll become obvious as we go through the presentation. I've been in the support world for about 14 years. Worked my way up, started as a support engineer, and I've been working in support in different roles within different support organizations my entire career. Like many of you, we've seen a lot of different things happening and a lot of changes in both the applications and supporting of customers. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some of those complexities that we're seeing and how we at NICE are trying to address that with ISOdx. So before we get started, I want to do just a quick survey, make sure I've got the right audience in the room. So how many of you currently are responsible for supporting or implementing software applications? Show of hands. All right, that's a good sign. How many of you have been doing this for more than 2 years? Okay, keep the hands up. How about 5 years and 10 years? All right. So definitely a lot of people in this room, like me, have seen a lot of change throughout the years. One of the other things that I'm sure you see that I get is because I'm in the IT field, I have to support my home and my home network and a lot of my families and friends. You work with computers, so you should be able to help us. So I want to talk about how that's evolved as well, because what I see is the changes on the home front are absolutely very similar to what we see in business as well. And the last question I'll ask you, has it gotten easier or harder to support your end users? I think everyone would agree it's definitely become much more difficult over time. So let's start with the home network side. So this is actually my home network from 1982. And I loved this home network. I thought it was great. The first time that I saw Hello Mark scroll across the screen, I was hooked. The great thing about this, it was all self-contained. I never got a virus on it. Never had any issues with third-party integrations. If there was a problem with the software, chances are I wrote it and I could debug it very, very easily. Some minor hardware issues, but very, very rare. This home network was very, very easy to support. I'm almost embarrassed to show this slide, but this is actually my home network today. So as you can see, I'm a pretty big Apple guy. We have 2 iMacs in the house. We have a MacBook Air, 2 Apple TVs, the Airport Wireless, Time Machine, iPad. The only non-Apple device is my corporate laptop and the Xbox. A lot of different devices on my home network now. They all talk together. A lot of different things going on there. In addition, a lot of different applications that I support for my family. So you can see I've got young kids, so when Lego Universe doesn't work, my life is pretty tough at that point. And again, not self-contained anymore. Club Penguin, great little application, social networking for kids. But when there's problems with that, is it an issue with my iMac, my network, the Disney server that it's running on? There's many, many different aspects that I need to do to troubleshoot what is a very amazing and wonderful application for my kids. But when it goes down, it's actually quite a bit of an issue. And then we have my end users. So this is probably my toughest end user at home or in business. This little guy is 2 years old, and he can get on the iMac, he can run all of those applications that I showed, but when they do not work, he gets mad, and he wants it fixed fast. And on top of it all, because he can't really talk yet, he won't tell me what changes he's made. And lots of times, he's made changes to the application, but he won't tell me. So one of the reasons I go with Apple is because I can quickly, with Time Machine, go back to an earlier snapshot. I don't need to know what changes he made and that type of thing. So You know, what we see in my home network today, a lot more functionality, a lot more devices, and much, much higher expectations for my end users. You know, he does not want his applications down for any amount of time, and he gets mad when it does go down. So let's contrast this with what we're seeing on the business side. So Nice Systems came from traditionally a call recording. So for compliance trading floor, call centers, so any type of voice recording in the customer service side of things. And our traditional call recording systems, all self-contained, proprietary hardware. It was our box, we shipped it, we plugged it into some trunk lines, you flipped the switch and it recorded. You know, all self-contained, all controlled. It did have to integrate to the PBX, but it was very straightforward. You're either getting the signal from the PBX or you weren't, and you were recording. Life was pretty good. If something went wrong, there was probably a red blinky light on the front of the box, and that told you what you needed to do as far as replacing something and trying to fix it and troubleshoot it. So what I'm going to do now is just flip over to show you what Nice does as a company today. I'm just going to do a short 3-minute corporate video to give you an idea of the expectations we have on us today.
What is it that people really intend to do? What do they really mean when they're talking to you? What are they looking to achieve? And how can we help them get what they want? You'd love to know the answers to these questions, wouldn't you? Imagine that you did. If your organization could really understand people's intentions, just imagine how you could impact their lives and your business. Even if you could get just a few insights, you could make an impact. But what if you could get insight into hundreds, thousands, or millions of people's intentions? What if you could impact millions of interactions? Imagine a world in which this is possible, in which these insights are right at your fingertips. A world in which you could explore wants and needs, where you could easily pick out patterns and take action in real time. A world in which your organization could distinguish between good and bad intentions, between loyal customers and those dissatisfied. Imagine you had the power to understand what your customers really want and predict what they're going to do next, to identify financial fraud as it happens, or to ensure the security of millions of people. Well, you do. At Nice, we've been giving organizations the power to turn insight into impact for the last 25 years. Over 25,000 organizations in 150 countries, including over 80 Fortune 100 companies. We take masses of customer interactions, phone calls, emails, social media, and analyze them, delivering strategic insights. This knowledge is the key to helping you improve the way your business is run. We impact over 50 billion customer interactions every year at contact centers around the world, making millions of customers happier, making thousands of businesses more profitable. We give you the power to prevent fraud by recognizing abnormal patterns in financial transactions and acting promptly to stop fraudsters in their tracks. The top 10 banks in the world use Nice to prevent fraud. Hundreds of millions of mass transit journeys are safer every year thanks to Nice. We help you to protect thousands of people by singling out that one threatening passenger in a crowded airport. We give you the power to intervene and stop him in real time. In a world of so many interactions, we help you tap into their value and take the next best action. We believe that to succeed, you need the best solutions. We give them to you, helping you to identify intent in every interaction, gain insight, and make an impact. We are Nice. Intent, insight, impact.
So the reason I show you that is not to turn this into a sales presentation for Nice. Although if you do want to talk about that, I'm sure we can have a discussion about it. When I first watched that video earlier this year at our sales kickoff, And so I'm sitting in a room with about 300 salespeople, corporate marketing, corporate functions, and everybody in the room sees this and is just energized by the applications and the things that our software can now do. And I think I was one of the few people in the room that was sitting there going, oh no, this is terrifying. Because this is the expectations my end users now have. They want all of this complexity, but it should be magic for them. They shouldn't know all of the things that are going on behind the scenes. So coming from a traditional just capturing recordings, now we're capturing multimedia or multi-channel. So we're capturing chat, email, video, all of it. We're trying to analyze it. We're trying to identify trends. We're trying to help our customers act on it in real time. So as you can imagine, from simply recording a call to where we are and where our solutions are and where our customers are today, very, very different place. So when we're trying to support these applications, it adds a lot of complexity. So again, I showed you the traditional call recording, the box plugged into the PBX. Now I've got all of these applications and different servers and databases that I need to work with just to capture the calls. All right? So it's no longer simply logging to a hard drive on a machine that we own. It's probably putting the calls into an Oracle database. There's probably a SAN solution in the background behind that. And there's various other applications that we use to capture those recordings and play them back. We're integrating to more and more third parties, right? So Cisco, Avaya, all of those PBXs, and they're adding more and more features and functionality that we need to keep up with as well. A call is not a call. There's third-party calls. There's different things that are going on at the PBX level that greatly impacts our system. So when something's not happening and we're getting only a part of a call, is it because it's our software? Is it the integration? Is it the third-party PBX software? The network. Obviously, a lot of this is coming across the network now. And if anyone's a network administrator, I'm sure you've never, ever had a network issue on your network because nobody ever admits to it. But it certainly comes into play with applications. So, and that's just on the recording side. So if we get into the analyzing the context of the calls that are happening in our software, as you can see, we've got even more servers that are capturing this data. So it's a multi-step process where we record the call, we transcribe it, we analyze it, we try and figure out what's going on with the results and provide that feedback to our customers. And again, all of this just looks like magic to the end user. From their perspective, they have an interface and they see some output from that. They don't know about the complexity, and they should know about the complexity behind it. So what does that mean for me and my team from a support perspective? From one server to many, many servers and many processes on the different servers. So there's many, many applications that are working together to make all of this work. I'm not in control of the entire stack, so I don't have a self-contained box that I can troubleshoot. I'm dependent on a lot of third-party applications. And there are many, many places that configuration changes can happen. Again, it can happen in any of the third-party pieces. It can happen in many different places within our own configuration that can really impact what's happening. Again, like many applications out there, we've got a lot of functionality and a lot of flexibility within our software. And how it's used can give very different results from one case to the other. And that can make it challenging. Because you've got that flexibility, you give customers the power to make changes, and it doesn't always yield the results they're looking for. With all of these different applications, my engineers can't be experts in everything. I can't bring somebody in off the street and know Cisco, Avaya, network, database, all of our applications. It's simply impossible for them to go as deep as they need to in each of these areas and really deliver the results. The other issue that we hit is broken isn't always broken anymore, right? So you get a result, it's unexpected, but is it broken? So it's behavior that is maybe not understood, but it's not necessarily break fix. Before it was we recorded the call, we didn't record the call. Clearly, it was broken or not. Now I got a result set that doesn't necessarily align with what I'm expecting to see, and I need to troubleshoot that and find out what's going on. And again, the same symptom can be caused by many different root causes. So trying to find the one piece out of the 20 different areas that could be broken is a big challenge. So when we're hitting an issue like this is something common that we see when our engineers are working issues. So our analytics results are not populating. So this is actually, okay, I'm not getting a result at all. So clearly, something's broken. And if a junior engineer goes to a senior engineer or looks it up in our knowledge base, they're going to get a list of about 10 different things that they can go and check. Check this, check that, go through this, go through that. And then if all those things are fine, come back to me and we'll talk again about next steps. So this isn't even the entire list. We're just kind of breaking it up. So again, it's very time consuming for us to go out and check all of these things to be able to find out where we need to go. So, what's the solution? And this isn't the end all be all, but this is one way we're really trying to evolve our support organization to keep up with this. It's a program that we developed with ISOdx that we call Rapid Resolve. And really, we're combining a tool of ISOdx with a methodology and a process to really get us to be able to resolve these types of issues very, very quickly. The ISOdx tool allows us to pull snapshots in time, do some analytics on it, compare it against what we know are issues, and then give us the ability to identify certain profiles of issues that we can identify and hopefully resolve very quickly. Again, ultimately, we're trying to drive our engineers to resolve the issues more quickly. So what I'm going to do is take you through how we built the Rapid Resolve tool. We'll give you more information as to what it is and how we're using it. I put this slide up, and I actually developed this for this presentation. And I'd love to say that this is exactly how we built it, and everything was super smooth. A lot of this stuff we learned along the way. And so hopefully you get the advantage of some of the mistakes we made. This is how I would do it if I were to do it over again. So if I had a fresh slate, this is absolutely the approach I would take. So first off, we analyzed a lot of data. We did a deep analysis on where our issues were. We started to target, what are the things we wanted to look at. We did some development, and then we deployed. And the way I see it is this is going to be a continual process where we're continually to loop through this. So let's go through each of these steps in a little more detail. So I'm sure all of you have heard the Gartner study that says 80% of IT issues are caused by changes in the environment. I actually hate that study because it's completely useless to me. Because if I don't know what change happened, I can't fix it. So the fact that I know a change happened doesn't really give me anything, doesn't buy me anything. So I need to be able to pinpoint it. And what we did what's called a Pareto Analysis, really dug into what are the 80% of the issues that are driving tickets in our system. And I strongly recommend not delegating this too far away from yourself. Know your data. Be part of the team that does this analysis. And it really comes down to rolling up your sleeves and digging into specific issues. What was the resolution? What was the cause of the various items? I've got the high level here of how we broke it out. We see a lot of third-party application configuration issues. We obviously have our own software and configuration issues. But from here, we dug down much, much deeper to find out, okay, what were the specifics behind it? And again, I strongly recommend going in and being part of this yourself and rolling up your sleeves. So an example, again, that we see a lot, the analytics not populating. after we dug into it, we found that one of the main causes was a conflict with real-time virus scans. So, as I described our application, you can imagine there's a lot of things going on at one time. And when you've got a real-time virus scan trying to scan a directory that is writing a huge amount of data, you're going to hit performance issues. Our R&D, of course, says, well, we recommend not to run real-time virus scan on our directories. But that, lots of times, doesn't get translated into what's implemented. Or we implement without the real-time virus scan, and our customers change and add it in after the fact. Because they're not always in control of their IT departments. Their IT department may make a policy change, and that gets pushed out to the systems, and then we see issues like this. So we can provide the feedback to R&D, but what we also did was say, how can we quickly add this to our automation wish list to be able to check for this and identify it quickly? So we went through and we built quite a few of these items where we knew what we were looking for, or top issues that were driving SRs within our customer base. And we started to target, and we started to build profiles of what specifically was causing it and what things could we check to identify and say, okay, this is very likely the issue. And again, we started to build and prioritize this list to say, okay, if we got these top issues covered off and we're able to identify them quickly across our customer base, we would be able to either prevent a lot of issues or greatly reduce the resolution times for them. In many cases, a lot of the things that we were targeting are, again, they're in the third party, they're in the network. It took us multiple iterations to capture log files. It took us network sniffer traces, lots of time back and forth working with the customer to identify. And we really targeted ones that we could identify quickly using automation. So then we got into taking our top ones and started to develop. And we partnered with ISOdx, who came in and helped us develop these. We had really a top 4 item list. We had a server level health check. So we had a number of items that we knew were configured wrong on the various servers, from an OS, network configuration, lots of different aspects. And we were able to put that into a server level health check, and we just combined them all together. So now I have the ability to say, okay, go out and look at the 25 servers on this customer's environment and tell me if there are any of these common configurations done incorrectly, versus my team having to go manually and look at the different servers. We looked at the common application level issues that we hit, and same thing. We identified a bunch of different things that people were configuring incorrectly that were causing problems, and we're able to check them. In addition, we had a couple of unique issues that came up from our software. We had a lot of difficulties in people implementing update packs, and we were able to build an update pack verification. So, you might say, well, why wouldn't you do that from within your product? But if there's an issue in the installer in the product, you're not going to catch it, from the product level. So it's a second level of check outside of our R&D team to be able to say, did that update pack get applied as we would expect? And then we also had a very specific issue in our software that was fairly deep and intensive. It wasn't prevalent, but it was something that we needed to check in a few key environments. And to check it was very detailed as far as digging into some SQL tables and cross-matching that with some other configuration information. And we were able to build an automation for that to say, okay, just go out and again, check it very, very quickly. So what took a DBA, very high-level engineer before, we were able to automate and really give the click of a button to a tier 1 level engineer to be able to check. We also had a bonus when we got into the development cycle. We found that the information we were capturing was identical in a lot of cases to our site documentation at implementation. Now, like a lot of you, I'm sure, the documentation is typically pretty good day 1, but it's not good day 30, 60, 90. So the implementation documentation isn't always kept up to date as accurately as we'd like. We found that we were able to automate 70% of our site documentation that was being captured manually and basically do it within a matter of minutes. So we feel that this functionality alone, completely bonus, we hadn't planned on this as part of the project, could save us up to 3 days in documentation for some of our complex projects. So that's time that our engineers are moving on to the next project and doing other things for our customers. So one of the other questions you may be asking yourself at this point is, why go to a third party? Why not work with your R&D teams to build this functionality into the product? And this is really my answer. Our R&D teams, play above the iceberg, right? So our applications are out there, and we have utilities that are built to troubleshoot, alarm, alert on the NICE applications themselves. What we don't do at the NICE level is dig into a lot of the third-party items. And of course, our application is sitting on a lot of different things that need to work correctly for our applications to work. So this is where, again, ISOdx can help us patrol below the waterline and really look at those things that our R&D teams do not. So the other things that ISOdx brought to the table, a secure platform. So everyone today hears about security concerns. Our customers want to know whatever we're using to support them is very secure. So ISOdx has a platform, they've got a good security story, and it's something that I don't need to build on my own. I wanted to make sure that anything we were doing was very easily deployed across many, many customers. I'm not trying to build a premium offering for my top 2% of customers. I want to get at 50 to 90% of my customers. I really want this to be a broadly used application. A lot of the things that we were looking at, ISOdx had out of the box, right? So if it's operating system level, network level, those types of configuration, there's a lot of tools and scripts that were pre-built that I didn't have to build. What we brought to the table was the knowledge of our application and what things we needed to focus on from those third parties. But a lot of the things were out of the box from an ISOdx perspective. Ability to capture all this data in a logical manner. So again, we've got a multi-tenant ability to store all this data. So if I'm trying to push this out to thousands of my customers, I need an interface that can capture and store that in a way that's logical. And again, I didn't want to spend time building that. I wanted to build time building the intelligence on what are the issues that we're trying to automate. So, the terminology I kind of use is we've got our R&D teams are responsible above the waterline in our application, and ISOdx, gives us the robots below the waterline to really look at the other aspects. So to give you a little bit idea of how this works, basically we've got a centralized server in our secure data center. It's in the same location that we use for remote access to our customers. So we've got that security layer. From a ISOdx application perspective, there's a very small executable that gets deployed on the customer servers, and then it basically allows it to phone home, right? So it's a simple outbound HTTPS. We can do the snapshots on a very configurable basis, so it can be daily, weekly, whatever you want to do. And those snapshots get sent back to our centralized server, where our team has access to it. If customers, and some of our customers absolutely will not allow even HTTPS outbound, you still have the ability for them to put the executable on, capture the snapshot, and either email it to us, FTP it to us. Some would even go to the lengths of putting it on a DVD and mailing it to us, but that's not too frequent, but it still does happen in some cases. So again, this is one of the things that I was looking for when I was looking for a partner for this. I needed to have a security story that I could sell to customers, and I think we have one with ISOdx. The other aspect that I was very keen on is it had to be easy for my users. It had to be easy for my engineers. I couldn't spend weeks and months training my teams on another tool to do their job. So this is a little bit forward-looking. We don't have this complete yet, but this is the dashboard that we're going to get to with ISOdx. So it's basically going to be able to have the engineer put in the customer site name. It'll bring up the snapshots we have for that customer across their server base, and they'll be able to easily go in and look at the different snapshots that we have over time. So really trying to make it very, very simple for my engineers to utilize the tool. So one of the things I think we learned the hard way was we started this program looking to build another tool. And we'd had a number of internal initiatives where, again, we've built tools and we trained people on them, and we thought it was really going to give us a big impact. And it didn't, because people didn't use it. And I think one of the key things that I learned is this needs to be done as a program. It has to be a change initiative. I'm a big fan of the book Switch by the Heath brothers. If any of you have read it, he talks about making sure with any change initiative, you need to talk to the elephant, the rider, and the path. And the elephant is that emotional side, because people are afraid of change, first and foremost. They don't want to change, so you need to make them comfortable with the emotional side of it. The rider is a little more logical, so they need to know, okay, what is the reason we're doing this? Where are we trying to go? What are we trying to achieve? So once you have the emotional side and the logical side, you also need to give them the path. Make the tool easy, like I just talked about. Make sure that they know how the process works, when to use it. You know, what are the things I need to know, and what am I trying to achieve with using it? So I think this is something that we're continuing to work on, but I strongly recommend that you don't just build something as a tool and put it out there. It'll just be a wrench that they leave in their tool bag. You need to tell them when to use it, how to use it, why they're using it, and give them the whole package when it comes to that. What we're looking at in the future, basically looking to make it very, very easy to deploy that executable. It's easy now, but again, many of our implementations are many, many servers. So my goal is to have the ability to push this executable out to the various servers in NICE and have it pre-configured. So I think that's going to make it easier for me to deploy. Again, my goal is to have the majority of my customers using this tool, not just one or two. We're going to have it part of every installation. This is going to be part of how we support our customers. So it's going to be right from the implementation stage to us supporting them. I talked about the web interface, making it easy for engineers to view and look at this data. And then, again, one of the bonuses I think that we're going to see in the future is I really think we're going to have the ability to pull use patterns on how our customers are using our products. So, all of you have seen Salesforce.com and probably heard how they can mine the usage data because all of the mouse clicks are happening on the Salesforce.com servers. So they know how you're using a particular module. Well, the majority of my applications are out on customer premise. We do have a hosting and a SaaS offering, but right now the majority are out in the customer's premise. So I don't have the visibility into how they're using the application. And as we dug into it, I can't get specific mouse clicks, but I can pull a lot of the analytics rules and some of the configuration items on how they're using it. And I think after I have this deployed very, very broadly, I'm going to have a lot of good information to go back to my product management team and say, did you know that 20% of our users are doing analytics rules in this way, and our best practices are this. So how can we educate our users to use the system in a different way or in a better way? So I really think that's what I'm kind of holding in my back pocket, but I fully intend to go to product management and show them this data. And I think it's really going to help transform, again, how we're working with our customers and how we're understanding how they use our product. And then last but not least, I do think there is an ability to create a proactive service on this that will allow us to do an additional value-add service offering, so an additional revenue stream that could happen. I really wanted to start with the broad base of customers and not on a premium offering, because I wanted to get this out to customers because I think it's in their best interest, but it's also in our best interest. We really need to be efficient. We need to drive our engineers to do more. We're very much a growing organization, and I think this is going to help us keep up with that wave of growth as we continue to deploy more and more customers. And then the repeat factor. So this I don't see as a one-time process. I really think that doing the detailed SR analysis, diving in and understanding where the issues are coming from, and really continually adding to that list of automation that we think we can do. I also think that there's a lot of opportunity to continually update ad hoc as we see issues. I'm thinking forward to the knowledge base, starting to look at the knowledge base of, okay, what are our top 10 knowledge base items, and how can I now automate searching for them and build those automation routines into our ISOdx platform. So once I have this deployed out to a broad base of customers and I make some of these changes, I have the ability to execute that on every ISOdx server that I've deployed, or Rapid Resolve server that I've deployed to. So just to finish up, I'll just go through a few points on things that we learned along the way. I think some of them have come out already, but these are a couple of key points that we definitely noticed. So number one, the data. I talked about it a number of times. I can't say it enough. Know the data. Get specific. Don't let it was a configuration item, because that's not actionable. You've got to get it to this particular parameter on this configuration item is what's causing us grief. And that's what's driving the issue. So again, I would roll up your sleeves and really get into the data and know that very, very detailed. Make sure you identify and involve believers early. So like anything, there's going to be people who are going to say, anytime you're talking about pulling data from a customer, it's going to be security. I'll tell you that right now. It's going to be, oh, you can't sell to customers. Customers aren't going to let you pull the data. The data we're pulling is not user data. It's not anything to do with their users. It's all configuration specific. We've got the secure mechanism. And we had to make sure that we had people in the organization who could tell that story and let customers know that it was safe. Because if we didn't have that, we were always going to get the pushback. In addition, again, on the R&D side, we got a lot of, well, why do we need that? We have these internal tools. Why do we need a third-party tool? You need to have people in your organization who can answer those questions so that you can drive this initiative forward. So you want broad buy-in. One of the things I think I made a big mistake early on was I was going to drive this project from my internal team. So I wanted my managers and my team leads to be doing a lot of the development work, working with ISOdx, and they just got caught up in the business of the day, right? So customer issues are always going to take precedence, and I still believe that I need their buy-in. I need them to participate in the program, but they can't be the ones driving it day to day. So we've since identified a developer specifically for this program who's driving it day in and day out. That's the only reason they get up in the morning, is to continually drive these additional developments and moving forward, as well as getting that broad buy-in from the team. So you've heard me talk about it a number of times already, but R&D still needs to come to the table, right? So we want their buy-in. We want them to be part of it. They're not going to be keen on it. They're going to think, we don't need a third party. We can develop an internal, and you're going to have to continually let them know why we need to bring somebody else to the table. If I get everything I wanted in the next version, it's going to be probably 1.5 to 2 years before I get that broadly deployed to my customer base, right? Because I've got thousands of customers. Not all of them are going to upgrade within a short time frame. So fixing and doing all of these things within the product is not always the way to go. And again, that's a discussion that You're going to want to bring your partner and R&D together, make sure they're working together, but you're probably going to have to push that one. And the last one, you're really trying to build a program here, not just a tool. I've done a number of initiatives with tools, and it's always a very similar result. You have certain functionality, you give it, you train it, you think you've done a great training program, and then you're not getting the results because users either aren't using it, don't know how to use it, don't know when to use it, and it can really distract from what could be a very successful program. So from my perspective, again, I think it's really critical to make sure you're remembering that emotional side, logical side, and tool side. Make it easy for them. Tell them when to use it. Make sure you're adjusting your processes. Make sure you get buy-in from them that this is going to help them in the future. So that is pretty much all I had today. So I guess we can open it up for questions or comments.
Question. So what was your, I guess a couple of questions. One is, what is your adoption rate? What percentage of your customer base is using the ISOdx? And two is, what are the challenges that you have faced in getting the customers to adopt this tool at the early stages?
Yeah, so the first question is, what is the adoption rate? And the second is, what were the challenges in driving that adoption rate? So we're very early in the adoption stage, so we've got probably 10 to 12 customers today, some fairly large, so we've got a couple hundred servers for some of them. We took a pretty methodical approach to this as far as we did a lab trial. We did a limited customer trial, and now we're doing our adoption phase as far as driving it out broadly. So the adoption rate is very, very low from where I want to be, but we're definitely early on in that. The challenges that we get, I think it's the first wave is always no one wants to be the first, right? So that's why we're aggressively trying to get to that next stage where it's part of the implementation, so they don't feel like they're trying something new or anything else. I have not had any customers say, no, I don't want it. The customers have said, okay, but I want to know more about it. So there's a lot of information that we're doing. We've done FAQs, we've done some marketing materials around it to give them the specifics. So the biggest challenge is just having those conversations and driving it forward. Yep.
Just want to clear on the go-to-market strategy. You sell this as an option with the nice applications, or you have it as software as a service as well as another option to go-to-market strategy?
So we are actually not selling it. So we purchased ISOdx as a support utility that we wanted to use in our support organization. So as NICE, it's a tool that I'm using to better support my customers. So there's no charge to my end users, my end customers. I obviously purchased some software and services from ISOdx to be able to deliver this. But again, I'm making the investment so that I can support my customers better, and I think there's enough value in that I don't need to increase maintenance revenue or try and derive any other additional revenue
So
from it.
this is sort of like a cost takeout in terms of speed to resolving
Absolutely.
issues, which generates customer loyalty.
So my benefits are much faster resolution time for my customers, driving my engineers to be able to do more, because again, we're very much a growing company, and I need those engineers to be servicing a larger base of customers in a more complex environment. And this is one of the tools that we're using to be able to achieve that.
As a follow-up question, as you make engineering changes to the product, whether it's bug fixes, which affect the way these applications are configured, or if it's new features, how does that impact the resolve situation in terms of quick adaptability to all these new application changes in nice applications?
That's a great question. So the question is, how are we taking this rapid resolve tool and keeping up with functionality and version changes within the product? First and foremost, a lot of what we're doing is independent of the product, right? So a lot of the things we developed right away, because right now we've got probably 3 different major versions that are out there in our customer base. And we were able to develop the same scripts across those 3 versions without any huge amount of additional development. So one aspect of it is simply that it's really independent, because we're looking, in a lot of cases, outside of our own application. Much of it is transferable. On the other side of it, the way that we're probably most impacted by the product is the update pack verification that I spoke about. So we've basically are working with our R&D teams to set up a process where, as it's being QA'd, we can pull a golden snapshot from that, and then I can use that to compare against when we're doing deployments in the field. So from a process perspective, we're including it in our R&D process. And again, that's where, even though we're doing it independent of R&D, we want their buy-in and we want them to sign off.
And how much impact on R&D cost perspective is there? Is it minimal?
So we're definitely looking at very minimal from an R&D perspective, because they have a set QA process. And essentially what we're doing is saying we're going to deploy Rapid Resolve on that QA environment and pull the snapshot, and then that becomes our golden.
Is it product validation, you test everything before it goes out the door?
Yes. Yeah. Other questions? Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Mark, very much. Appreciate your presentation today.